A lot of business owners think that they need to have a certification first before they even venture into government contracts. And they look at government contracting because they're hearing a lot of noise about certifications. I need to have a minority certification, a veteran owned certification, an 8A, something like that. And they're keeping themselves at the starting line. And it's actually before the starting line. A certification is if it's not necessary to deliver the goods and services that you offer, is a nice to have. It's like an additive bonus. So in this video, I'm going live because I know it's important. Today, actually, I'm supposed to be somewhere else right now, doing some things here. But I thought that this is important to you because we're going to cover three things. Okay. We're going to cover one is what actually set asides are. What do they really do and what they don't do? The second thing is why capability and structure beats labels most of the time. And three is the simple proof packet that you can build today. Okay. So these are the three things that we're going to cover today. I'm going live. So there's going to be some not so perfect moments, but it's real. Okay. And by the way, if you don't know who I am, my name is Melinda Colón. I am a business growth consultant, a strategist, and I help people leverage government contracts in their existing business, their acquired business. And I just love legacy building. So if you're interested in or you are in the journey of acquisitions or scaling your business and growing your business from, let's say, seven figures to eight or eight figures to nine, I'm for you. Like, this is a channel for you because you're not starting from scratch. You're starting with information that is going to be leveraged and get you the output like of your dreams. Okay. I've helped my clients achieve over $5.7 billion in contracts. It's actually about to be 5.8, fingers crossed. And this is where it gets real. There's a lot of noise around certifications. A lot of people believe that you need to have a certification in order to be considered a contractor. Like, as if, and I'm going to be really polarizing for this second, but as if the color of your skin actually matters based off what you do. Working with bigger companies, bigger enterprise organizations that are generating billions of dollars every single year, who work with small businesses and who have minority participation or had minority participation requirements. I'm hearing first off from them and also the agencies that are out there what actually matters most. And it's actually not the certification. What matters most to them, both the primes, the big primes that you might want to partner with, and the procurement officers, the contracting officers, is merit. Is like, you're actually good at what you do. They want that. They want that. They want the authorities. They want the experts. They want people who have experience delivering on those results. Now, there is a place for certifications. And I'm going to talk to you about that so that you could see that as an additional leverage point. But it is not the end all be all. In fact, I have a client of mine. We were catching up after a few quick wins that she got. We helped her, my team and I, we helped her secure two contracts. And one contract was less than 30 days. And then the other contract was in 90 days. And they were both 7.5 million. So it was 15 million. And the previous year, her annual revenue was 10 million. I mean, wrap your head around that. 15 million in 90 days versus 10 million in 12 months. I mean, this is what we do. So, and it's working with businesses that are in construction, engineering, consulting, professional services. Why? Because we're leveraging what's already working. When you get to a point where you're already in the GovCon game, it matters less about who you did it for and more about the fact that you did it and that you're an authority and that you're reliable. because they're not just thinking one time wonder where you get a contract awarded and you never see them again. They're thinking, I'm going to need these services every single fiscal year. And I want to make my job easier to get this money awarded and out of my pocket, out of my budget as quickly as possible and with the least amount of risk. So you always want to de-risk the relationship between an agency and your business. Let me give you an example. Let's say you've been in business for 8 to 10 years. Let's go with 8 years, and you've worked with charter schools for the last 4 years. Now, the fact that you've worked with charter schools, you learned about renovations, new construction, you've learned about infrastructure, electrical. I mean, it doesn't really matter what you did. It matters more that you did it and who you did it for. Because a lot of times people think, well, and I'm going on a tangent here before I answer the set asides question, but a lot of people think that, well, I have to have like for like in terms of the size of the contract that I've done before. And you might not use contract, you might think of like, client work or projects or performance. Those are all terminologies that are within those industries I mentioned recently. Is your work that you've already done that you've gotten paid for, that's the work that you can leverage as what's called in public sector past performance or work product, and that helps you win contracts. Now I've spent oh gosh, a long time. It's been nearly 2 decades with in the negotiations of business development and public sector procurement strategies, and then growth systems, specifically how to help businesses that are at 7 go to 8, and how to get to 8 to go to 9, and so on and so forth. And thankfully, and I'm just honored to be able to share that with you, that that has been a pattern with our clients. They get these crazy results, and then they become self-sufficient, and that's exactly what I want the future leaders of businesses here in America to do, is to be self-sufficient. And I've seen what wins have done to that bottom line. It increases your profit, it helps you build stability. You're no longer having to pay yourself last just to make sure your team is paid. You're no longer having to like hold your breath between the gaps of payroll. You're no longer having to rely only on on referrals. Like life gets better when you do contracts, when you do government contracts. And you don't need to worry about it. You don't need to have any fear around it. It's just the work that you're already doing in your business. And the truth of the matter is that when you're thinking about private sector, you're talking to maybe one or two point of contacts in an organization. Whereas in public sector, you have that one or two point of contacts in an agency, but the added benefit are twofold. One is that their budget is public record. Like right now, after this video, you can go and look up a local agency, just make it easy for yourself, like your city, your county, your state, your airport, whatever, and you can look up their budget online and you can see whether or not they're buying your services right now. More than likely, if you're in construction, engineering, consulting, or professional services, they have at least one or two, okay, depending on the size of the population within that specific jurisdiction. So, knowing that, you can add those pipeline items, like those specific opportunities to your sales pipeline before you even pick up the phone and call them and talk to them and build relationship. And that's where you want to be. You don't want to wait for the opportunity to drop and be advertised. You want to know ahead of time what they will need, what they've already earmarked or identified that they need before it becomes a contract and everybody knows about it. This is an insider high level strategy that you more likely won't get from anyone else on the internet, because this is a strategy that the best businesses, the best of the best that are doing government contracts are doing. They are influencing the relationships. They are actually educating those government contractors, those procurement officers, the procurement officers in how what they know about the industry. Have you ever considered that where, let's say you're a marketing company and now there's like advancements in AI and things can get done faster, et cetera, et cetera. And you go and you educate them on AI and you educate them on different softwares and you say, this is the best based off our knowledge, based off the expertise, the experience that we've had delivering this specific outcome because you already saw what they needed in the budget, this specific outcome, this is the best workflow. This is the best structure for getting the outcome you want. And this is what you need. These are the softwares you need. This is how to do it, X, Y, and Z. Now it becomes your proprietary work plan in their opportunity or in their contract. And when they advertise, now this doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen. When they advertise, now, everyone else, all your competitors have to meet that standard, but you've set the standard. You following me? So it is a game changer to get involved before the opportunity even exists on public record, even before everybody knows that there's a solicitation on sam.gov or on MyGovWatch. Okay. So this is why it's so crucial and so important to build relationship ahead of time. Now, the certifications are an added bonus because there are set asides. So, we're going to talk more about set asides in a second. But set asides is exactly what it sounds like. It's set aside to serve or to provide an opportunity for businesses that fall within that category. Now, there have been some changes to the DEI standards from top down, from administration down. And as of the date of this recording in 2026, this is what it is. It has changed and it's transitioning from DEI or DNI to SBE, so a small business enterprise. It's far more valuable to have a small business enterprise certification than a women business enterprise certification. That is my recommendation. Now, or my opinion, based off what we're seeing from the federal level and also the state, local, and education level, so the SLED level. This is important to note because if terminology has shifted, if the programs have changed, and currently right now the 8A program is being changed. Now, what that means is if you're thinking that I need to get this certification to win a government contract, how do you win a government contract if the programs are changing? There must be another way. So let me share with you what these set asides are and what the other way is in this video. Okay. And if you like this information, go ahead and comment below. Let me know what questions that you have. If you're watching the replay, I will make sure to answer your questions. If you're here with me live, I will be able to answer your questions. Yes. All right. Okay. Now, the real truth about set asides. Now, set asides can help you get access to certain opportunities, but they can't reduce they can't reduce your inability to win those contracts because there's other businesses, there's other what we call vendors or suppliers that have those certifications too. So if you're thinking to yourself, as soon as I get a certification, then I can win a contract. And that, like, just think about that for a second. Imagine everyone needs a certification. Imagine we all have the same certification. Then now what becomes competitive? If we all have the same certification, now what becomes competitive? It's our experience, it's our knowledge, it's our pricing, it's our positioning, and it's our authority. So overall, what becomes competitive is our ability to lower risk for that agency. So that's the point of a set aside, is to put you in a separate bucket because there's so many businesses in the United States, not just those that are registered vendors, but just in the United States, there's so many businesses. And then of that business, they're trying to put in like put set asides into a bucket, if you will, and say, here are some opportunities for you. We want to make sure that it is a level playing field because they can reduce the amount of friction that a small business would have if you were competing with a company that didn't have a certification. But when it comes down to it, it's all about your experience. It's all about your knowledge and your expertise. I have a client, and I think I mentioned this to you, and I forgot to tell you this part, but so she won those two contracts less than 90 days, 15 million, 10 million in revenue the year before. And she shared with me, she said, Melinda, I actually I actually don't I've ever never needed my certifications. Now, she has or had, I'm not sure if she recertified, but she had a WeBank certification, Women Business Enterprise. She had several municipality certifications, and she had never used it. You understand what I'm saying? So you might get a certification and never use it. You're waiting to get something that you might not ever need. You might not. And that is challenging. And where I've seen the most use of those certifications is in partnership with bigger companies, bigger organizations that have what's called a minority participation requirement. So if they have a requirement to have a small business that has that certification, they would include or go out to the marketplace and say, hey, who has the certification and who can provide these services? And these companies who raise their hand, yes, we have a certification. And yes, on our website and on the door says that we do the thing. But as far as their success rate, it's not so great. It's not so great. So what happened is, and this is just from the experience having conversations with large prime organizations that had subs, they said as soon as that rule changed, we dropped them. And I said, why? It was it like, why did you drop them? They said, we prefer to go with someone that's going to get us the result that they promised and that they wanted to be long-term relationships because they were so adamant about leading with the certification in terms of their differentiation that they were hurting the relationship with the agency versus healing it and growing it. Now, I don't think it's going to be the same for every specific scenario, but for those primes that I have relationships with that did drop minority firms from their contracts, that is what they said. Now, what do we do now? Well, we can scream and can yell, but we can also do something to be proactive to make sure this never happens again. Because while other firms are just hiding away and holding onto their certification as if it's this ticket of access, gets access to the government world, instead of doing that, they just step in to an authority position, an identity as we are the best at what we do. We have a high standard of quality and customer care. We have standards for detail oriented information and messaging, transparent communication. We don't think that we're less than, we actually think of ourselves as a partner. Now, when you shift the thought process in how you believe or think in your culture of your business, now your output changes. Now you attract even more opportunities because now people see you as someone that knows what they're doing, that's confident, that has clarity, that can stand to be one of the best differentiators, one of the authority leaders that the agencies desire and they definitely deserve. So the best set asides, they don't replace being able to deliver. They're actually just an added benefit to how you deliver. Because government buyers are thinking of this. They're thinking, can you do the job? Will you make me look good? And can I justify this decision? You know, if you've ever heard Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey. So the hero's journey is structurally the framework for telling a compelling story. And in the hero's journey, there are these characters, multiple characters, but two in specific are the hero and the guide. Almost think like The Hobbit or Star Wars, right? So the Hobbit would have been Gandalf, would be the guide. And then, like for Star Wars, it would have been Yoda, who is the guide, right? And then there's a hero. Well, in government contracting, the hero is always the buyer, it's always the government agency. Same thing in private sector. Your heroes are your clients. They're never you. You are just a guide to take them from where they are to where they want to go. And then once they get there, there's a new problem to solve, whether or not with you or in a combination with a partnership, but it moves on to the next phase, the next step. Like imagine you, like recently, I got a new phone. I haven't gotten a new phone in 5 years, okay? I but it was intact. They gave me made me credit, full credit for my phone, and, I remember the lady was like, "How long have you had your phone?" I said, "I don't know. I have no idea. You'll have to look it up." She looked it up. It was 5 years, not one scratch. I lost my case a while ago, and the screen, protector fell off. So, it was just me, like, just gripping it, make sure not to scratch it. But anyway, so I switched out my phone, got a new phone. And as soon as I got a new phone, I'm like, oh no. I went from Android to iPhone. So now I have an iPhone. So I'm like, oh my goodness, I need all these things, right? I need a case. I need a screen protector. I need to move all my apps. I need, an adapter for the plug thing, the USB-C plug. I need all these things. So what that first effort was, or that first, um, yeah, that first effort was, is just to get the phone. Now I get the phone. Now I have to get the case. And then once I get the case, then I have to get the screen protector and so on and so forth. So that is the customer journey in government buying, or any buying in business general, is that when a customer comes to you, they've just solved a problem and they're looking for you to help them in the current problem that they have. So where they are to where they want to go. You're the guide for that season alone. Just that. And then when they say, "Oh my goodness, I have this new problem," or when you make them problem aware, then you can help them solve that other problem or direct them to where they can solve that problem. So, as the guide in government contracting, they're asking, "Can you be my guide? Can you be the authority, the Gandalf, the Yoda that I need right now so that I can get from where we are to where we want to go with the least amount of hiccups, problems, issues?" Do you know exactly that you know exactly what you're doing? Like, have you done this before? You know, just thinking about that. Will you make me look good? Will you make me look good? That's what they're asking. When I give you this $10 million contract, this $100 million contracts, whatever contract, once I give you this contract, you have to perform. Because again, the whole goal, the government is spending money. Their goal is to spend this money. These agencies are required by law to spend all of their money. And so they're forcing, they're pushing themselves to spend money. Now, if there is an issue on the project, on the contract that you got awarded, now they have to make a decision whether or not to continue to move forward with you and take on even more risk that it gets done properly, knowing that they've already outlined their entire budget for the rest of the year. Every single dollar has a place to go. Or do they just cut their losses and they go back to that list of bidders and see who's the second down the row that can finish this project? If I were in that situation, and I have been in that situation where I've hired a contractor, a consultant, and we got started and they just could not fulfill what they promised, I cut my losses and I moved on because I understood that I didn't want to waste any more time or money because they're advocates for tax dollars. They are also taxpayers as well. So they're thinking these are my dollars and you're not going to be able to deliver on what you said you can. This is my dollar and you've never done this before. And so there is this amount of risk, this pressure to hire someone who doesn't have experience, only though they have a certification. So this is where I'm sharing with you, like, from the buyer's perspective, how to think about government buying, because it's very similar to private work. However, it has a different need. It has a different pressure point and demand, where they're required by law to spend their money. Like, their job is to take this list of contracts, put them out into the marketplace, and make sure they're awarded and make sure the work actually gets done. They're dispatching, they're project managing, they're budgeting, they're financing, they're doing everything. And so they're doing that part of the job. They need you to do your job. So it's the certification. Yes, this is an opportunity to leverage, but it's not the end all be all to actually get a contract. Okay. Hopefully, this is making sense for you. If it is, go ahead and comment below and say, this is making sense. So I make sure that it's hitting. If it's not, say, Melinda, I need more explanation, and we'll make sure to get content out to you to get clarity. Will you make me look good? So, and then the next question is, can I justify this decision? Listen, like, this is where bias comes in, right? I've personally have experienced, not me personally, but I have been in close proximity to, and this was like back in my corporate days in business development, but seeing how another competitor, another firm, big firm, a big firm got locked up with some issues like that, where they were underskirts trying to buy their way contracts. That's what I'll say. It was in the news, it was in the newspapers, it was in media. I mean, the company reputation plummeted, but so did the reputation of everyone involved. Everyone. Like I said, it was proximity. I know of them, but I was not involved with them. And ever since that was 12 years ago. Ever since, I have been so adamant about ethics, about integrity, right? Like, even more so than I was before, because I saw what happened in them, the relationships. Some of them went to prison. Some of their family relationships, they broke up. The kids went one way, the wife went the other way. It was a mess. It was everywhere, and it was public knowledge in an entire city. Everybody in the industry knew about it. I mean, whew, it's like getting dethroned from authority. And so, can I justify this decision is, I am not going to select you just because you say that you can do the work. I need to see that you could do the work, because I need to go to my boss after I get this contract awarded and say, "Hey, I awarded it to this company because they said they could do it. This is the proof that they shared with me. We called their references. We confirmed that they could do it. We have confidence they could do it." Have you ever tried to convince somebody, convince something of something that you don't believe in, like, you don't agree with? I've definitely attempted to do that. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. Oh man, this was right out of right out of college, right out of college, and I had a marketing. Well, it was more of a anyway. I was in marketing and sales at that point, and the there was a client who had a product that I didn't believe it could do the things that they said it could do. And so they read it on my face. They were like, "You don't believe." And I said, "It's not that I don't believe it, is I haven't seen it for myself. I haven't been convicted that that's true." And so they actually dropped off a sample of their product. It was like, okay, uh this is kind of like archaic now when you think about it. But it was, it was kind of like it was a gizmo. It had, places where you could put your keys, your phone, and all that stuff, and then it had a monitoring system with a flashlight. It was really, and they said the battery would last forever. It was like, "The battery will last forever," and I thought, "There's no way the battery's gonna last forever. It's impossible," right? I'm like, "It's if it's not the sun, it's not gonna last forever. If it's not solar powered, it's not gonna last forever." And so, this is what I was thinking. I was thinking about all the objections that would come up for the buyer. And I was thinking that. And so when they were asking me as I was drafting out the messaging and stuff like that and giving some data analytics, that's what I was doing before GovCon. And they asked me for, my feedback, and I said, I don't believe it yet. So they gave me a sample of it. I tested it out. No, it didn't do what it proved. There was a lot of things, a lot of messaging that was incorrect, it was untrue, and even the product creator, the owner of the company didn't know it either. He had not tested it as long as I had. So what I did is we had company phones. I put the phone in there. I put my company keys in there. I turned the flashlight on and some other buttons, whatever, and I left it on my desk for the weekend. I came back, the flashlight was off. Not only that, the phone not only died, but it could never be like it was a flip phone, so it couldn't be restored. Like we went to the store, it's not working. Like the thing broke my phone. So it was just all these things, and they were just about to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on an entire marketing camp. Like they just were going crazy on this thing, and I thought, I don't even believe it. You have no testimonials that this is actually true, except for the people that you know. Like, I want to see it, right? And so this is what these government buyers are thinking is, did you actually do the thing that you said you can do? Now, the other part of that is, how do you show past performance? How do you show that you've done it before if you've never done it before? If they're, let's say for a hospital, let's say a hospital needs your services. You've never worked for a hospital. Let's go a step deeper. What is the work that they are asking at that hospital? Have you done that? Yeah. Okay, let's put that because that's relevant. Have you done work for a hospital in general? Yeah, but just not that. Okay, great. So we're going to incorporate that in the messaging somewhere so that we can speak to hospitals. We have a relationship. We understand your systems. We understand facilities. We get it. And also we have experience delivering this specific scope, but for another company, a client. Okay. It's always honest, always transparent, it's always ethical, but we want to make sure that we're showcasing our authority in the same way. Um, Meaning that your documentation, your delivery plan, which sometimes it's written as a work plan or a project approach, that is a signal. That's a signal. So we always say in my company, we always say start with your approach first. Start with a work plan first. How are you going to deliver the thing? If you can't clearly walk a 4-year-old through that process, then it's probably not a good idea. Like that's how crystal clear that you should be about what you do. You should be able to communicate to a child what you do in 3 to 5 steps, nothing more. If it's too long, they just fall asleep or they go play with their Tonka. So we want to make sure that it's simple, straightforward, and it's easy to understand. Not because there's anything wrong with them, but because we don't know how much of what we do that they know of. Because you're the expert. You're the person that's doing it every single day. What they do is completely different from what you do. So you want to make sure that you're communicating to them. This is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. Just side note, it'll incorporate some communication. It'll incorporate quite a bit of communication, and quality control and schedule is usually the 3 things that are included in the approach, and it's weaved into the work plan. Okay. So if you're thinking to yourself, but I have a certification. Well, great. Go ahead and use your certification. But instead of saying like ABC company, Melinda Colón's Consulting or Fortis Growth Partners is a minority women business enterprise and provides blah, 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 I'm going to say Fortis Growth Partners is, and we do this. Oh, by the way, we're a women business enterprise. That speaks to, we have an authority in the marketplace, and we got this certification because we know about the set-asides. There's a different message that we're saying here. When we start with the certification, we're leaning on that to be the thing that moves the needle. When we put it at the end, we're showing that we have authority, we have experience, we have knowledge beyond our certification, which you do, and you might be afraid of it. Like I want you to, you might be thinking to yourself, well, I don't even know where to start. It's okay. This is why I'm here. And once you know how to start, how do you consistently build your business? Well, we'll talk about that as well. And we actually talk about it in our upcoming GovCon Growth Engine session for executives. It's coming up on, you can click the link down below to get registered. And in that session, it's a quick deep dive. It's 90 minutes, just quick deep dive of where you are, where you want to go, and the 5 steps that you need to take to get there. And we actually go through the first 2 steps together in the session so that it's just really simple. Leave you with the simplest part to get done. Okay, so hopefully that gives you some clarity. Now, you might be thinking, okay, well, Melinda, I got the certification because I wanted to stand out in the marketplace. And I wanted to stand out in the marketplace because I know that there's a lot of other businesses that are competing for these contracts. And if I don't have a certification, or if I don't need my certification, then does it just come down to price? And the answer is not necessarily. Not necessarily. Okay. There in that specific opportunity, that solicitation is a kind of general word. Solicitation could refer to an intent to bid, source sought, RFP, or request for proposal, request for qualifications, whatever it is. Actually, well, it depends on the agency, but just in that solicitation, it will say whether or not they're going with lowest bid or competitive, or best value. Like you could look for that terminology in where they talk about the selection criteria, how they're going to select the bidder. That language is, they're going to tell you how they're going to bid, how they're going to respond, who they're going to pick by what. And so when you look at the selection criteria, so it's usually like 3 or 4 or 5, like it's usually very few key components of what you respond with. So if it's just a price, they're obviously going to go with price because that's the only thing that you're providing them. But if you provide a proposal or a qualifications package in the solicitation, in the document that you get from them, it'll say what the percentages of the work plan, resumes, past experience, and it'll say like 20%, 30%, 40%, whatever, the weight of that section. This is important because it tells you how to structure your message. I love that people are using AI, and there's so many tools out there that you can use to develop and build your proposals. One of them I'm building, we're in the process of finalizing it. It'll be out in the marketplace this year. If you're interested, just subscribe so that you can be the first to hear about it. But there are tools that are out there and they're very helpful. However, when it comes to this piece, we have tested over 24 different softwares. And when it comes to this piece, in terms of like, yeah, it'll help you write a proposal, but is it going to help you win a proposal? That's the downside. So we always want to look at the work before we submit that work, even when we're using AI. And that's an area, the selection criteria, or it should say like scoring criteria, that nomenclature, that wording, that is what you want to look for, because that will tell you how to structure your entire response and what matters most. If you're thinking to yourself, like, what do they value? Well, that's right there. I mean, it's like, there's so many things that I love about public sector, and that's one of them. Private sector, and listen, you want to grow your business with private sector, but you also want to diversify your revenue with public sector. And this is why everything is public record. You don't have to guess. You're not assuming based off how they feel. Okay. Everything is documented and everything is logical. It's a logical decision. Who brings the most value? Who is the best fit in price? Like, just competitive based proposals. When they say the selection creators is like 40% in this one section and the other two are less than 40%, then that means that that's what they value is your experience, whatever that 40% is or 50%, however they percent it, break it out. So you don't have to think like what's important to them. That isn't what's important to them. And that's so simple, right? You can go to their website. They have everything public record there. Look at their mission, their vision. That tells you a lot about their culture and whether or not there's alignment. There's 99,000 agencies in the United States alone. So there might be agencies that are not in alignment with your company culture. That's okay because there will be ones that are. And if you marry up with them, it's going to be easier to build lifelong relationship with them because they're going after the same thing you're going after. So it's just something to think about. It's not reinventing the wheel, it's reinforcing it. Okay. Um, all right. So we talked about that. All right. So here's the fun part. Okay. Here's the fun part. Okay. So set asides, they can be helpful and they do help you become competitive if you already have the experience and you have the certification. Now you're in a smaller pool of businesses that are competing. That makes it so much easier, right? So you have a SBE or a small business enterprise certification, and you have past performance. You have tons of experience and knowledge and authority in the marketplace, and you marry them together. What happens? Oh man, it. I wish I had like a dry erase that I can do on the wall. But here's two things. And then we'll end here. The first thing that you're positioned to do really well is stand out from everyone else. Like I said earlier, a lot of people believe a certification is all they need to win a contract. So there goes a whole of those people. And then what's left is down to your relationship. This is the differentiator. If you get in early before the bid is even advertised, before it gets on Sam.gov, before it goes on a MyGovWatch, and you see it before that, then you can build a relationship with a phone call or going in. Now, state local is going to be way easier to do this strategy than it is federal, although you do have ODDSBUS. I can never say that acronym, but the OSTABUS office is the Office of Small Business Disadvantage. They are there to help you. However you need to do it, you want to build relationship because before the solicitation, you can gab as much as they want. And then after the advertisement, well, guess what? Every question, every comment is now something that's shared amongst everybody that is watching that opportunity because now it's open. But then you can't go privately and have a conversation with an agency about that contract because we're in bidding process, right? So make it fair and reasonable. So this is like a huge strategy that most people don't even see it, but it's the fastest way to build a pipeline full of contracts so that your business never, I mean, the ideal situation is that your business never experiences a dip ever again. Imagine like you've got your private sector work, clients that you've acquired, you've served for a long time, they stay with you. Then you've got additional referrals that come in, right? It just kind of dips up and down. Let them dip up and down all they want, right? They come in whenever they need to, sporadically. And then you add in government contracts. What if you get a contract for 1 to 5 years, like a 5-year contract? What if you get a contract for a year? I mean, what type of freedom would you have if you'd never had to worry about for an entire year cover your operations costs? Like everybody's paid for the entire year. That's, you could project for a year ahead. Then you get a 3-year contract. Boom. 3 years you could project forward, then 5 years, then 10 years. I mean, this is what's available. This is how people are building and growing businesses so fast, is because they're leveraging government contracts. They have private sector experience. They're utilizing some of my strategies that I can share with you in the session, the executive session. You click the link down below and register for. And then what they're doing, then they diversify. But here's the thing, nothing changes in their business. The systems don't change. The processes don't change. They just get better and better and better. And the owner now then can step back. You can step out of being in the day to day and just be the owner and let the team be the team. I mean, you could start hiring really seasoned people to join your team, lead bigger projects, and at the same time, train the rest of your team to be just as good as them. Now, you're not just growing your business incrementally, you are just skyrocketing into the future. And your business goes so much faster and with stability. This is not changing the fact that you have stability, you have predictability, you have consistency. And if you are an essential service, you provide essential services. Oh, well, then what are we talking about here? Let the market, the private sector market, go up and down. Let your referrals go up and down. Your government contracting services, stable stable. Take vacations, do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. And just step into this visionary full time while your team or your company is growing. One thing that I'm really excited about for the future is acquiring businesses and leveraging government contracts to scale those, because that's why we do that. That's why we acquire businesses, is to stabilize them, to optimize them, is to systematize them and increase the value of those businesses. Now, if I'm doing all three of those things for other people and we start doing them for other companies that we own, I mean, you could be doing this too. Like, this is so exciting. There will be information about that later on. I'll be taking you on my entire journey of doing that. It's very soon. So if you haven't subscribed yet, I want to do that too. But hopefully this is helpful. Your set asides, like the set asides that are available for you, they're there to help you from a strategic standpoint. It doesn't take away from the fact that you need to be an authority. And if you're just getting started, if you're brand new to business, this is probably not the arena for you. And I'll be honest with you, it takes much longer, 18 to 24 months, to actually see it convert. If you've been in business, you have past performance, you can see speed exponentially faster, like some of our clients. And hopefully that's you next, right? Hopefully that's you. You could get a contract in a few months. I mean, it's sky's the limit in terms of the opportunity available to you. So hopefully this video was helpful to you. And if you're interested in learning more, go ahead and click the link down below and register for the GovCon Growth Engine session for executives. That way you learn exactly what to do that's customized for your business. And we actually walk through the first 2 steps of the 5-step system that gets real results. All right, guys, see ya.